At dawn on June 8, 1942, the battlefield near Sevastopol was silent in a way only war could create. Smoke hovered low over broken stone. The air smelled of metal, dust, and damp earth. Somewhere in the ruins of a destroyed farmhouse, a young woman lay pressed against the ground, her body perfectly still. She had not moved for hours, not a muscle, not even to wipe the dirt from her eyes. Across a narrow ravine, an enemy sniper watched the same stretch of rubble through his scope. He was waiting for a mistake, a breath, a blink, a twitch. The woman did not move. Her name was Lyudmila Pavlichenko. She was 25 years old, and by that moment in the war, she had already become one of the deadliest snipers in human history. Lyudmila Pavlichenko was not raised for war. She was not trained from childhood to kill. She grew up like millions of others in the Soviet Union, attending school, working odd jobs, and dreaming of a future far away from violence. As a teenager, she showed an interest in marksmanship, but it was treated as a hobby, not a destiny. Her real passion was history. Before the war, Lyudmila studied at Kiev University. She spent her days reading archives, analyzing past conflicts, and writing essays about empires that had risen and fallen. She believed history existed to teach people how to avoid repeating disasters. She could not have known she was about to become part of history herself. On June 22, 1941, Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in human history. Millions of soldiers crossed the border into Soviet territory. Cities were bombed. Civilians were slaughtered. Entire regions collapsed in weeks. The illusion of safety vanished overnight. Lyudmila did not hesitate. She volunteered for the Red Army almost immediately. When she arrived at the recruitment office, officials assumed she wanted to serve as a nurse. That was the role women were expected to take. They handed her medical forms and bandages. Lyudmila pushed them back across the table. She said she wanted a rifle. The officers laughed. They told her the front lines were no place for a woman. They said she would be more useful treating wounds than creating them. Lyudmila did not argue. Instead, she asked for a shooting test. One target was placed at a distance of 400 meters. Iron sights, no assistance, one shot. Lyudmila fired. The bullet struck cleanly. The room went silent. Within days, she was issued a Mosin Nagant rifle and assigned to the 25th Rifle Division. There was no ceremony, no praise, no special training. She was sent directly to the front near Odessa, where German forces were advancing rapidly. Her first days in combat were chaos. Explosions shook the ground constantly. Soldiers fell around her. Orders were shouted and lost in the noise. Fear was everywhere. Then, one day, she spotted enemy soldiers moving through open terrain. She raised her rifle. She hesitated. Later, Lyudmila would write that this moment stayed with her forever. She understood that pulling the trigger would change her life permanently. But she also understood what would happen if she did nothing. She fired. Her first kill was confirmed. From that moment on, there was no turning back. Lyudmila learned fast, faster than most. She observed everything. She learned how sunlight reflects off lenses and helmets. She noticed how dust shifts when someone moves behind cover. She memorized the sound of footsteps, the rhythm of breathing, and the way fear changes behavior. While other soldiers rushed forward or fired blindly, Lyudmila waited. Patience became her greatest weapon. Within weeks, German patrols in her sector began to disappear. Officers stopped standing upright. Soldiers avoided crossing open ground. Rumors spread through enemy lines about a sniper who never missed. As the war intensified, Lyudmila was transferred to Sevastopol, where one of the most brutal sieges of the conflict unfolded. For months, the city was bombarded relentlessly. Artillery fire never truly stopped. Buildings collapsed daily. The ground itself seemed to break apart. This was where Lyudmila became something more than a soldier. This was where she became feared. Sniper duels were no longer short encounters. They became tests of endurance. Two snipers could lie motionless for days, waiting for the smallest mistake. One duel lasted 3 full days. No shots fired, no movement, just two people trying to outwait death. On the 4th day, the enemy sniper shifted his elbow slightly, exposing his position for less than a second. Lyudmila fired once. The duel ended immediately. By this point, German forces knew exactly who she was. They began targeting her specifically. Artillery barrages were directed at locations she had previously occupied. Mortar teams fired blindly into suspected sniper nests. Decoy snipers were sent out, hoping to draw her fire and reveal her position. There were at least 9 confirmed attempts to kill her. All failed. At one point, German troops broadcast messages through loudspeakers into Soviet positions. They promised Lyudmila safety, food, and luxury if she surrendered. They even offered chocolate. Lyudmila responded by shooting the soldier holding the loudspeaker. Her confirmed kill count continued to rise. By 1942, it reached 309, including 36 enemy snipers trained specifically to hunt soldiers like her. These were not inexperienced recruits. These were professionals. None of them succeeded. Eventually, Soviet command made a difficult decision. Lyudmila was pulled from the front lines. Not because she was ineffective, but because she was too valuable to lose. Her death would have been a devastating blow to morale. She was sent abroad as part of a diplomatic tour to rally Allied support. In the United States, she became the first Soviet citizen to meet President Franklin D. Roosevelt. But instead of asking about the war, many reporters focused on her appearance. One asked why she did not wear makeup. Lyudmila responded calmly and directly. She reminded them that she was 25 years old and had killed 309 fascist invaders. She asked how long they intended to hide behind women like her. The room fell silent. After the war, Lyudmila never returned to combat. She completed her education and worked as a historian. She rarely spoke about her experiences. She did not celebrate her kills. She did not romanticize war. She understood its cost better than most. When she died in 1974, she left behind no battlefield monuments, no statues in grand squares. But her legacy remains one of discipline, resilience, and unshakable resolve. Lyudmila Pavlichenko was not born a legend. She became one because history demanded it. And somewhere near Sevastopol, beneath layers of shattered stone and quiet earth, the ground still remembers the woman who never blinked first.